Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Nought, and welcome back to the next episode of Fortnite Mythbusting. It has been about a year since I posted my last episode in this series, but recently loads and loads of you guys have been asking me to release another episode, so what I've done is I've compiled a huge compilation filled with some of the most requested myths to be tested or proven in Fortnite over the past couple of days. Let's try and get this episode to 3,000 likes because we are very close to 3 million subscribers, so if you guys have not yet subscribed, please make sure you do so, and if we get 10,000 supporters using the code Noughticus in the supporter creator zone on Fortnite, then it will give away 100,000 V-Bucks. This only lasts until the end of this month, so if we get 10,000 supporters using our code by the end of this month, then it will give away 100,000 V-Bucks to you guys. So let's make that happen, but let's get straight into the video. I have so many myths to show you guys, and to start things off, I wanted to find out exactly what would happen if I fired myself at another person firing themselves at me in a cannon. Essentially, two people firing themselves at each other from cannons. It's a very interesting myth, and this is exactly what happens, guys. So yeah, as you guys can tell, one person will be taken out and the other person will actually lose 50 HP. Now this was very interesting because I did not expect this result to happen, but what I believe happened is Epic Games actually worked out who clicks last. Despite the fact I had two computers open and I clicked at the same time, it still figured out who clicked last, and the person who clicks last will actually be taken out and the person who clicked first will only lose 50 HP, and that is exactly how this works. Anyway, moving on to the next myth. This one is finding out whether you can launch yourself from a cannon onto Spawn Island, and also the Creative Island as well, and all of the other hubs around the actual main island. Anyway, what I soon realized is that there is actually an invisible barrier right at the end of the map. If you try and go as close to Spawn Island as you can, you will encounter this invisible barrier, so you can't go past it. Now, you can actually shoot cannonballs through this barrier, which is exactly what I did, and to my surprise, the cannonballs will actually reach Spawn Island, which is something I've never seen before. I've never seen actual destruction of Spawn Island when you're on the main land. But unfortunately, you don't actually see any destruction. Nothing actually happens. When the cannonballs land, no trees are taken out, no buildings are taken out. It just lands on Spawn Island and nothing really happens to Spawn Island, unfortunately. Once we got the results for this myth, I decided to try and get myself onto Spawn Island by breaking myself through that invisible barrier. Now, this was a pretty difficult task in general because I didn't think this would work, and of course, unfortunately, it did not actually work. It actually broke some of the materials in front of me. So if you guys are wondering whether you can actually shoot yourself onto Spawn Island using a cannon, unfortunately, you're not able to do that. So that myth is actually busted. Anyway, this next one, this is actually me trying to go north towards the Creative Island and the hub as well. And to my surprise, if you go too far north, you will actually get an entire Creative Island spawn in front of you. Now, I was really surprised about this. I was like, wait, what is going on? So like anyone else doing this, I decided to build some more to see how far we could go. Maybe we could get onto the Creative Island over there, and to my surprise, I was actually taken out. So unfortunately, you can't even go any close towards the hub or the Creative Island from the mainland. Anyway, going on to the next myth, this is what happens if you use the cannon whilst you are a bush. This one is very funny, guys, because as you can see, you can actually use the cannon whilst you're a bush, and if you try and get inside the cannon, you also keep the bush as well, which I think is awesome. So if you decide to use a bush and a cannon, both of them will work together, and what's even cooler about this is that if you actually decide to fire yourself from the cannon, you will keep the bush as well. Look at this, guys. I mean, just imagine a bush flying through the sky, doing somersaults and somersaults until it lands into the ground, or even better, you can actually destroy objects with the cannon, with the bush as well, and you won't even lose the bush. So this myth is proven. I love this myth. It's my favorite one, and I'm going to be using this a lot. This next myth is to do with Epic Games' latest feature, and this is when you get rewarded 50 HP for taking someone out in Fortnite. So what I've done is decided to put a twist on this to see what would happen if I took someone out, took myself out, and then got a teammate to take out the person who I originally took out. So look at this. My teammate is eliminating the person who I originally took out, and unfortunately, I do not actually get that bonus 50 HP. In a similar situation, I do everything the same. The only difference is that I don't actually take myself out. out. Instead, I take someone on the other team out, and then I run away from everything. I wait until a teammate eliminates the person who I originally took out, and this is what happens. Because I myself am not taken out in this situation, I would be rewarded the 50 HP. In this next myth, I want you guys to guess in the comments below what you think is going to happen, because this one is awesome. I wanted to check if you could actually tell who was in a Frosty Snowman with a thermal scope. So one person has a Frosty Snowman enabled whilst I am using a thermal scope, and you can't actually tell the difference, which really surprised me because thermal scopes can look through a lot in this game, but if you're using a Frosty Snowman, you are covered and a thermal scope will not pick you up. So moving on to the next myth, this is finding out whether clingers will actually stick to each other and combine or collide and do a different course or something. Now, I was expecting they would actually collide, and I did try this so many times. This is only a handful of the times I did actually experiment on this. I probably spent a good 10 to 15 or even 20 minutes on this one experiment, and I know for sure that a couple of these definitely did collide, because you can even see on the replay mode that they definitely collided. And unfortunately, they don't actually stick, collide, or they don't go into each other. They don't change the course. They will still continue on their destination and go to exactly where you guys aimed them originally. So unfortunately, this myth is busted, and clingers will not collide and stick to each other. These next myths I really enjoyed doing because I didn't know the answer to each one of them, and we tried so many of them in such a short space of time. The first one is finding out what happens if someone throws a boogie at you when you're inside the cannon, and of course you will get out of the cannon, you will do the dance, and you can't actually interact with the cannon whilst you are dancing, so you can't dodge a boogie whilst you're in the cannon. Now, if someone decides to throw a chiller at you, you will still remain inside the cannon, and it will only freeze your feet. It won't actually do anything to the cannon, so that really doesn't have too much of a difference to you if you do actually get a chiller thrown at you. Now, the next one is to do with an actual impulse or a shockwave, and of course they will interact and move the cannon, so there's no difference there. And this one is finding out whether you will actually get away with traps whilst you're inside a cannon, and unfortunately traps still have the same effect. So don't think you're invincible from traps when you're inside the cannon. If you leave the banana skin in a lobby for 4 hours, this is what happens to it, guys. To my surprise, after about half an hour, nothing actually changed to the banana, so now you guys know. If someone decides to rift you whilst you're inside the cannon, unfortunately, that will of course take you out the cannon as well. It will leave the cannon on the ground, which was a huge surprise for myself. I thought the cannon could be rifted, but even if you decide to go into a rift in a cannon, it will only take you, and it will leave the cannon on the ground. Again, really surprised by this. I thought the cannon could be rifted. The same thing applies to any ammo which comes out of the cannon. So if you decide to shoot anything through the rifts, nothing will actually happen to the balls itself. They will just go through the rift. They won't teleport. They won't go to the top of the map. They will just go straight through the rift and continue with their exact destination you originally aimed them at. This next myth is basically enabling rocket riding and the cannon, because I wanted to see what would happen if you tried to jump on top of someone who shot themselves from the cannon. I tried this a number of times, and understandably this is very difficult to do. I didn't get the most luck with this. I actually stopped doing this because I believe this myth is busted. I don't think you're able to do this, but I don't want to confirm this. So if you guys know you can or can't, let me know in the comments below. I really want to see this happen, but as of now, I believe you can't do this, but you never know, guys. Someone might be able to get this to work. I wanted to find out what would happen if you tried to rift a snowman, and this is what happens. This myth is proven. You can rift snowmen, and I gotta say, this is hilarious. I was laughing all the way. I didn't actually think this would work. I thought it would disable the snowman, but you can rift whilst you're a snowman. Whether someone rifts you or whether you rift yourself, you will keep the Frosty Snowman, which is awesome. I've never actually seen a snowman fly before, so this was awesome, and I'm glad this myth is proven, guys. Will you lose HP if you go across a lava field inside the cannon, or whether you're driving the cannon? Well, if you drive the cannon, you will lose HP normally as if you were to just walk across the lava field, one tick at a time. But if you decide to get inside the cannon, you will actually lose no HP, so this myth is actually proven. You're going to love the next myth, because if you decide to go in any of the volcano events whilst you're using the cannon and yourself will be launched really high in the sky, and if you shoot, you will get so much distance distance. This is by far one of the coolest myths proven, and I recommend all of you guys give this a go in Fortnite. For this next myth, I wanted to find out what would happen if we tried to destroy an immovable, indestructible, invincible object with the cannon. And unfortunately, you can't actually do any damage or effect to those objects, but what I did discover is that if you shoot the cannon at an immovable object which is ramp-shaped, for example, the arcade machines, the ball itself would be in a continuous rotation. Now, I tried this against the vending machines, and again, as you can expect, nothing really happened to the vending machine, so I decided to shoot myself. Again, nothing happened to the vending machines. But what I wanted to try and do now is see if I'm able to throw clingers onto the actual balls themselves as they're shot out of the cannon. And because we found this weird glitch with these arcade machines, I decided to throw clingers at them. And to my surprise, this did actually work once. Just once, guys. So there's a chance, a very slim chance, that this could have just been a glitch, but you guys can see it right here. This did work, so this myth might actually be proven. For this next myth, I wanted to find out what would happen if you rolled a cannon onto a bounce pad. So we built a ramp, and this is exactly what happens, guys. You fall onto the bounce pad, and it will actually sling you off the pad with the cannon. So the cannon does actually recognize the bounce pad does exist. Now, again, if you do shoot the cannon whilst you're in mid-air, you will get quite a bit of distance, and it is lots and lots of fun. Unfortunately, the freeze pads or the ice pads don't do much to the cannon. In fact, I don't even think they do anything to them. So it's only the bounce pads which appear to do something to the cannon. Now, I decided to record this. It wasn't actually originally in my list, but there was a llama in the lava field. So this is what happens if a llama spawns on the lava. It will actually just be a normal llama. You can open the llama, the loot will spread across the lava field. Nothing different happens. The only difference is that it might be a bit more difficult to get to the llama. Now, this next myth is finding out what happens if you build a box over any of the volcano vents. So I built a 2x1 box, and I jumped into the vent. Now, if you jump into the vent, you will actually destroy any object which you fly into up to a certain distance. I actually found the maximum distance, and you can technically be stuck in this box, which is exactly what I did. Now, I also tried to shoot the cannon through a volcano vent. Unfortunately, nothing actually happened. The balls just went straight through the vent, and it didn't get affected whatsoever. I tried this a couple of times. Again, nothing happened. But if you decide to shoot yourself through the vent will pick you up and throw you into the sky, and it might even be a faster way to travel around the map. Anyway, guys, how could I forget this myth? This is finding out what happens if you jump into the volcano whilst you're driving or you're inside the cannon. So I got myself and my second account to get inside and drive this cannon. We went straight down into the volcano, and this is what happened, guys. You will lose the cannon, both the person inside and the person driving the cannon, and the cannon itself will actually stay in the lava field until you do actually flip the cannon. Once you end up flipping the cannon, it will bounce across to the nearest place away from the field. In this case, it just bounces around the field, but if you're lucky enough and if you get into the right spot, you can pick up the cannon and drive the cannon again. So that's everything I have for you guys today, but if you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like on it. Of course, if you aren't subscribed, I recommend you do so, guys. We are very close to 3 million subscribers, and again, make sure you use the supporter creator code Noughticus. At 10,000 supporters, I will give away 100,000 V-Bucks, which is mad. So make sure you guys use the code right now. This only applies if we get 10,000 supporters by the end of this month. So by the 31st of March, if we don't have 10,000 supporters, then unfortunately, I will not be giving away 100,000 V-Bucks. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Nought. Stay awesome, have a great day, and I will see you guys next time.